He had billions in the bank, but at this very moment, Silas Vane was the poorest man on earth. The rain isn't just falling, it's screaming. Silas stands in the doorway of his $60 million glass mansion, the warm glow of a victory gala behind him, watching the only thing that ever truly mattered walk into the darkness. This is the story of a man who won the world and lost his soul, and the woman who finally decided that enough was more than he could ever pay her. Silas Vane wasn't born with a silver spoon. He forged one out of pure ambition. By 35, he was the king of tech logistics. He lived by one rule: everything has a price, and everyone is a commodity. Then there was Elena. She had been there when Silas was eating cold noodles in a studio apartment. She was the one who stayed up until 3 a.m. helping him color code his first pitch decks. She didn't love Silas for the private jets or the Maybachs. She loved the man who used to make her laugh until her lungs ached. But as the bank account grew, the man shrank. Silas began to treat his marriage like a corporate merger. He didn't give Elena his time. He gave her a monthly allowance that could buy a small island. He didn't give her affection. He gave her a jewelry box from Tiffany's every time he missed an anniversary. To Silas, Elena was the ultimate asset, something he owned, something that would always be there, sitting on the shelf of his perfect life. The ultimate regret didn't happen overnight. It was a slow rot. For years, Elena tried to reach him. She'd plan quiet dinners, only for Silas to spend the entire evening on a conference call with Tokyo. She'd tell him she was lonely, and he'd tell her to go shopping. The breaking point came during the gala of the century. Silas was celebrating a $10 billion acquisition. The house was filled with the elite sharks in tuxedos and vultures in silk. In the middle of the party, Silas took the stage. He thanked his board of directors. He thanked his lawyers. He even thanked his driver. He didn't mention Elena once. When he finally found her in the kitchen, she wasn't drinking champagne. She was staring at a photograph of them from 10 years ago. "Silas," she whispered, "do you even know who I am anymore?" Silas laughed, a cold, sharp sound. "You're the luckiest woman in the world, Elena. Look around. Most people would kill for this." "I'm not most people," she said quietly, "and I'm done being part of your collection." Silas didn't believe her. He went back to his guests, downed the scotch, and bragged about his next venture. He thought she was just being dramatic. But 20 minutes later, the heavy thud of a suitcase hitting the marble floor silenced the room. The guests froze. There stood Elena. She wasn't wearing her designer gown anymore. She was in an old, worn-out raincoat and boots. In her hand was a tattered leather suitcase, the same one she used when they first moved in together. She walked toward the front door. The rain was drumming against the floor-to-ceiling windows like a heartbeat. "Elena, stop this," Silas commanded, his voice booming with the authority he used on his employees. "You're making a scene. Go upstairs. I'll buy you that villa in Tuscany tomorrow." She stopped at the threshold. She didn't look back at the mansion. She looked at the horizon. "You can't buy back the years you traded for this, Silas. Keep the villa. I'm taking my life back." The image you see is the exact second the world shifted. Silas stepped out onto the wet pavement, his expensive Italian suit soaking through instantly. Behind him, his friends, the people who only liked him for his net worth, watched with a mix of horror and morbid curiosity. The other woman in the red dress, a socialite named Clara who had been eyeing Silas's fortune all night, stood in the background, ready to step into the vacancy. But Silas didn't see Clara. For the first time in a decade, he saw Elena. He saw the bruise on her spirit. He saw the way she didn't even flinch at the cold rain, because the house behind her felt colder. He realized that for all his logistics and analytics, he had missed the most basic calculation. Loyalty isn't a subscription. If you don't renew it with love, it expires. "Elena, wait," he shouted, his voice cracking. "I'll change. We can go back." She turned her head just enough for him to see the single tear cutting through the rainwater on her cheek. "We can't go back, Silas, because the man I love doesn't live here anymore. Only a billionaire does." She walked into the storm. No driver. No security detail, just a woman and a suitcase, disappearing into the dark. Silas stood there for a long time. The gala continued inside. The music started up, the laughter returned, and people began to toast to his newfound freedom. But Silas felt like he was standing in a tomb. In the weeks that followed, the billionaire's life fell apart in a way no stock market crash could manage. He sat in his $60 million house and realized it was just a big, empty box of glass and echoes. He had the power to move markets, but he didn't have the power to make her phone ring. He realized that the ultimate regret isn't losing your money. It's the moment you realize you spent your whole life climbing a ladder, only to find it was leaning against the wrong wall. He thought she'd never leave because he provided everything. He realized too late that he had actually provided nothing at all.